Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the SWU Sports Network. Tonight's matchup is against the Emmanuel Lions versus your Southern Wesleyan Warriors.
The starting lineup for Emmanuel is number 0, Jay Rucker, number 1, KJ Jones the Jr., number 4, Brandon Simpson, number 11, Michael Wright, and number 55, Ty Stuckey.
Your Southern Wesleyan Warriors starting lineup is number 0, Tajay Dunlap, number 4, Solomon Smith, number 5, Julian Cameron, number 13, DeMarcus Addy, and number 35, Trinard Farrell. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back as the Southern Wesleyan Warriors are taking on the Emmanuel Lions. Currently, Southern Wesleyan is 15-8 and Emmanuel is 17-6 overall, and in conference 13-6 and 16-3. So as we get into this game, we are moments away from tip-off. And the tip-off won by the Emmanuel Lions. Emmanuel pushing up through midcourt, going into the attack zone. Getting stolen by number 13, DeMarcus Addy, going in for a layup, making it while also getting a foul. Looks like it will be a 1 point. Going up for the layup.
Makes the 1 point extra shot.
Now
Number 55 passing it to number 1. Number 1 passes it to number 0. Passing it to number 4. Passing it back to number 1. Number 0.
Giving it back over to Dunlap now, to Farrell. Almost going in for the layup and missing it now. Going back over to Emmanuel.
Emmanuel with number 4 getting the ball. Number 4 driving it in. Going in for the layup. Missing the layup.
Great blocking by Farrell will be a call or a whistle. Now going in for a foul.
Number 4 with...
The foul will be taken by number 4, Brandon Simpson, for 2 points. Currently, SWU is up 3-0. This will put them on the board.
Number 4 making the free throw shot and gets one more. Number 4 missing the second free throw shot.
Now going back under to Dunlap. 3-1, SWU leading with 18:50 left in the half. Now over to Farrell. Giving it to Addy. Addy still in possession. Giving it to Smith. Back over to Addy. Shot clock coming in. Can Farrell get it? With a back layup, getting it very nicely.
Handing it back over to Emmanuel with number 55 passing it to number 1. Back over to number 4, passing it to number 0. Number 11 has the ball now, passing it to number 55. Passing it to number 4. 4 number shoots the 3, missing it.
Now SWU back over in possession, pushing through the mid-zone to Dunlop. Farrell providing great positioning, giving it to Farrell. Now to Cameron. Back to Addy. Farrell. Dunlop going in for the shot, missing the 3, but Addy going in for a 3, sinking the 3. Now 6-8-1. Now back over to Emmanuel.
55 passing it to number 1. Number 1 passing it back to 55. 55 driving it in, passing it to number 1 again. Passing it to 0. Number 4 passing it to 11. Number 1 driving it in, passing it to number 11.
Now to Dunlap. Driving it in the attacking zone, Dunlap going to Farrell. Farrell draining it for a 3, missing the 3, giving it back over to Emmanuel.
Emmanuel number 0 passing it to number 1. Number 1 passes it to number 4. Back to number 1. Number 1 going for the 3, makes the 3, passing it back to SWU.
Smith giving it to Dunlap. Dunlap coming into attacking territory. Dunlap still with it, giving it over to Cameron, now to Farrell. Farrell trying to push his way in for a layup, getting a black layup. Now scored 10-4 with 16:30 left.
Number 4 passing it to number 55. 55 driving it in. Number 0 passing it to number 4, trying to find the way. Passing it to number 11. Back to number 55, driving it in, going for the layup. Makes it and misses it barely.
Now back over to Dunlap, pushing past center court into the attacking zone. Dunlap going in for a back layup. Release, making it, but now giving it back over to Emmanuel. Emmanuel pushing up court, giving it. Can he sink the 3 right here? He will wait off for his team. To number 55, 0. 0 going in for the 3. Draining the 3, giving it back over now to SWU to Dunlap. Dunlap going in now. Giving it over to Smith. Now back to Addy. Smith again. Giving it to Farrell. Farrell going in for the layup, making the layup. Now back over into Emmanuel's possession.
The score is now 12 SWU, 7 Emmanuel. Number 55 going in. Passing it to number 1. Number 1 getting in a little closer, driving it in. Passes it back to number 11. Switching it over to number 55, over to number 0. Number 1 going in now, trying to find the way in, passing it to number 0. Number 0 goes for the 3, barely missing it. Passing it back over to SWU.
Now back over to Dunlap. Dunlap pushing into the zone, going to pass it to Smith. Back over to Addy. Addy going in for the 3, missing the 3, giving it back over to Farrell, giving it to Cameron. Cameron driving in, giving it back to Emmanuel for taking possession.
Number 1 steals the ball, driving it in. Trying to go for the layup, but there's a foul on the play.
Looks like SWU calling in a timeout. We'll be right back after this brief break for SWU Sports Network.
The ball for Emmanuel, number 55. Passing it to number 4. Number 4 passing it to number 0, back to number 2. Number 2 trying to drive it in, passing it to number 55. Driving it in a little bit, passing it to number 0. Number 0 trying to get the layup. SWU getting the rebound.
Taking it in for SWU on their side will be number 12, Devon Bradford. Now giving it over to Dunlap, going through midcourt, going into attacking zone, giving it over to Reeves. Reeves to Farrell, to Cameron, back to Farrell, to Reeves. Bradford to Farrell, to Cameron. Farrell going in, missing the layup, now giving it back over to Emmanuel.
Number 4 going in, driving it hard, but loses
Stolen
control
back
of the
over,
ball.
back to Dunlop, now to Cameron. And trying to sink the three, does not make it, but Dunlop recovers, gives it back to Farrell, to Bradford. Still in Bradford's control going into the other side. Ref calls a whistle. Currently with 13:44 left, it is SWU leading Emmanuel 12-7. Looks like the ref might be having a problem with how the shot clock is operating, still trying to figure out what is going on. SWU driving it back in. Bradford over to Dunlap. Giving it back to Dunlap. Bradford taking it in, giving it over to Cameron. Cameron to Bradford. Bradford going in, sinking the three. Great shot. Now back over to Emmanuel.
Number 4 passing it to number 1. Number 1 driving it in, going in for the layup, passing it to number 4, passing it to number 55. Number 55 driving it in, passing it to number 21. The 21 passing it to 1. Number 1 going in for the layup, barely missing the layup. A foul on the court. Number 1 gets 2 free throws, it looks like. Number 1 makes the first free throw.
(15-8). SWU still leading with 13-10. KJ Jones Jr. going in for the second layup. Second layup for KJ Jones Jr. successful. Now giving it back over to SWU with Dunlop in possession. Dunlop driving it in down middle, trying to get an open spot for SWU to get points here. Giving it now to Hobben. Now Bradford with it, giving it back over to Dunlop. Giving it to Bradford. Dunlop driving it in, looks like he'll be getting a guarding foul. Dunlop going in for the layup.
Making the first free throw is Dunlap. Going in for the second free throw. Dunlap making the second free throw, handing it over to Emmanuel. Number 1 handing it over to number 55. 55 staying back a little bit, now driving it in, passing it over to number 38, 33. 33 passing it to number 2, passing it back to number 33. Number 33 driving it in hard, passing it to number 1. Number 1 passing it to 55, going for the shot, makes the shot.
Now Bradford giving it to Dunlop, pushing back in through center court. Dunlop trying to figure out what to do here. Reeves gives him an excellent screen. Now over to Hobben. Back over to Reeves. Reeves trying to create space now, giving it to Bradford. Addy now in possession, trying to go up for the layup. Getting the layup, now giving it back to Emmanuel.
Number 55, passing it to number 33, handing it back over to 55. 55 holding back just a little bit. Handing it over to number 1, who hands it over to number 21. Back to number 2. Number 2 passes it to number 1. Number 1 trying to drive it in. passing it over to number 55. Number 55 going in for the shot. Barely misses the shot.
Major collision, but SWU recovers. Now Dunlap trying to recover it back up. Bradford trying to go for the nice SWU shot and makes it in. Now giving it back over to Emmanuel with 11:04 left. 21-12. SWU leads.
33 passing it over to number 55. 55 over to number 1. Number 1 trying to figure out what's going on. Number 1 driving it in, passing it to number 21. 21 passing it back to number 55 over to number 33. Number 33 going in for the shot, but misses it.
Addy recovering the shot now, coming back down, giving it over to Bradford. Now to Hunter. Hunter goes in for the 3, barely misses it, but a great recovery by Addy. Addy still in control. Trying to make a screenplay, passes it over to Dunlap. Dunlap trying to push it in, gives a great back shot to Reeves. Reeves going in for the 3, missing it, but recovering it, giving it back to Emmanuel, pushing forward.
Number 33 passing it over to number 2, back to number 33. To number 55, back to number 1. Number 1 pushing it in, going for the layup, missing the layup, handing it over to SWU. Oh, there's a foul.
Looks like timeout called by SWU. 10:01 left, 21-12. Both teams definitely fighting here for this match, as we have SWU sitting in rank number 3 and Emmanuel sitting in rank number 2, as both of these teams are already locked in for the playoffs. An impressive game by both teams so far. Dunlap and Addy definitely doing some work trying to get in for those outer 3 shots, but not exactly doing the best, but game still has plenty of time to go. Both teams have 3 foul points given on both sides with first period.
Emmanuel doing a good job. Number 55, Ty Stuckey, really putting out there and doing his best, trying to get all those layups that he can.
As we mentioned earlier, SWU called the timeout, getting in to see if they can formulate a play to try to expand their lead farther. Ref calls the whistle, signaling for the timeout. Coach is coming back up, both teams getting ready. See what we can have for going in for the rest of this game.
Emmanuel coming back onto the court. Number 1 getting into the free throw position. Number 1, KJ Jones making the first free throw. Missing the second free throw, handing it back over to SWU.
Farrell now giving it over to Addy. Addy passing it over to Long. Long to Farrell. To Hunter. Trying to drive it in, missing a pass, almost giving it up. Back over to Hunter. Hunter passing it now over to Cameron. Cameron to Farrell. Back now to Addy. Addy trying to push it in, goes for a back 3, missing it, and giving now it back over to Emmanuel.
Emmanuel's number 55, passing it over to number 1. Number 1 driving it in, stopping, backing up. Getting it to number 2, trying to go for the layup, misses the layup.
Missing out, but Hunter coming back in for SWU. Hunter pushing it up now. Going on the left side, now giving it over to Addy. Addy to Smith. Smith trying to create space here for the team. Pushing up, getting everyone to rearrange. Cameron going in, making a beautiful 3, making the score 24-13. Now back over to Emmanuel, pushing up through center court.
Number 55 handing it over to number 1. Number 1 holding back a little bit, passing it over to number 55. Back to number 1. Number 1 going in for the 3. Missing the three, handing it back over to SWU.
Now giving it to Cameron, to Addy. Addy still in possession, giving it over to Hunter. Hunter back to Addy, giving it now to Farrell. Trying to push in here, giving it over to Cameron. Cameron going in for a three, almost making the three. Farrell trying to go for the rebound, but does not get it and gives possession back over to Emmanuel, pushing down through center court.
Number one trying to push in, tossing it a very good pass. Number two making the three, handing it back over to SWU.
SWU now passing it back in, giving it over to Addy. Addy trying to tell his team to go up forward, create some more space for them. Addy pushing it in, now giving it over to Hunter. Hunter to Cameron. Cameron to Smith. Back now to Farrell. Farrell trying to create space, giving it back over to Hunter, trying to create a play here. Farrell on the line, trying to push up in here for a layup. Goes in for the layup, barely misses the layup, giving it back over to Emmanuel.
Number two getting the rebound, passing it to number one. Number one driving it in for the layup and makes the fantastic layup.
Looks like we have a blocking foul for SWU. Now Emmanuel calling in a timeout. Like we said previously, this is not going to be an easy battle for either of these teams. They are both fighting right now. 24-18 with 7:34 left in the first period. 4 foul points awarded for SWU, 3 for Emmanuel. And we'll be right back on SWU Sports Network. Coming back now from the timeout.
Looks like number one, KJ Jones Jr. taking the free throw. Going in for the first free throw. Makes the free throw, handing it over to SWU.
Bradford now pushing it in here through the middle zone, trying to find some room here. Passing it over to Farrell. Farrell creating space now for Bradford. Cameron now trying to go for a long shot, giving it back over to Emmanuel possession.
Number four getting the rebound, passing it to number one, passing it back to number four. Number four passing it to 55. 55 passing it to one. Number one trying to drive it in, but gets blocked by SWU. Number one passing it to number 11. Back to 55. Number 55 driving it in, going for the two, missing the two, trying to get the layup, passing it back to SWU.
Number 12 giving it over to Cameron. Here goes Addy up here trying to go for the layup. Very great layup while getting defended.
Handing it back over to Emmanuel. Number four passing it to number 55. 55 passing it to number four. Number four trying to drive it in, going in for the layup, passing it to number 11. Number 11 driving it in for the layup, goes for the layup, and makes a great layup, handing it back over to SWU.
SWU coming back over here now. Now is in the possession of Bradford. Bradford staying back, trying to get something set up here for SWU, giving it over to Cameron. Cameron now over to Addy. Now back over to Cameron, giving it to Bradford. Bradford going in on the drive, gonna stay back with a layup. Trying to shoot a long shot too. Now back over into Emmanuel's possession as they push up middle court.
Number 55 passing it to number one. Number one going for the three, but barely missing it. Handing it back over to SWU. Number 13 getting the rebound.
Addy pushing him now into SWU's attacking zone. Farrell trying to create some space for him, giving it up to Farrell. Going in for a beautiful layup. Now 28-21, 5:40 left to go.
Number 11 passing it to number 55. Number 55 slowly driving it in, passing it to number four. Number four passing it to number one. Number one driving in hard. Loses control.
Now
passing it
giving
to
it
number
over into Addy. Addy trying to push up, getting a foul. Addy will unfortunately not be able to go in for 3 free throws, but they will still be able to have it in their own zone. So currently leading by 27 points here with 5:24 left. Here goes Addy trying to pass it in, finds Farrell. Now Addy going for and almost making the two. Now giving it back over to Emmanuel.
Number 55 passing it to number one. Number one passing it back to the 55, passing it to number 0. Number 0 driving it in, going for the layup. Goes for a 2, makes the 2, handing it over to SWU.
Now Dunlop coming back in through center court, trying to push it in, make something happen. Farrell with a great screen. Dunlop still in possession. Dunlop going to try to pass it, gives it back over to Addy. Addy trying to look for space, passes it over to Hunter. Dunlop back now, trying to go in for the layup. Gets a foul called. SWU still in their zone as Addy will be passing it in for them. Emmanuel now only down by 5. Addy trying to pass it in. Finds Farrell. Farrell back to Addy. Addy trying to create space now, giving it into Cameron. Cameron going for the long shot 3. Beautiful sunk shot by Cameron. Now back over into Emmanuel's possession on the far side.
Number 1 passing it over to number 2. Handing it over to back to 1. Great defense by SWU. One passing it back to number 2, handing it back to number 1, handing it to 0. Number 0 going in for the 2, missing the 2, handing it over to SWU, getting the rebound.
Giving it back out now to Dunlop. Dunlop going into the attacking zone, trying to create some space here. Fair with a great screen. Now over to Cameron. Cameron to Bradford. Dunlop going in with a 3, trying to make it happen, but does not get it, giving back possession over to Emmanuel.
Number 4 getting a great rebound, passing it back to number 1. Number 1 trying to go in for the layup, but getting a foul called. Foul on SWU. Right now, SWU leading with 31 and Emmanuel with 23. 3:48 left in the first period.
We are continually seeing right now KJ Jones Jr. and Ty Stuckey for Emmanuel pushing up for their team and creating those spaces and points, as well for SWU, Dunlap, Farrell, and Cameron. And Addy putting in some major work as well.
Emmanuel getting 2 free throw shots, it looks like, with number 1, KJ Jones Jr. Missing the first free throw.
KJ Jones Jr. definitely has been on tonight, getting most of the free throw points for Emmanuel, now going back up for his second attempt.
Missing the second one as well, handing it back over to SWU.
Farrell will be passing it to Dunlop, now passing into midcourt. Dunlop trying to get his team together. Now giving it over to Bradford. Bradford to Cameron. Cameron pushing it in, now giving it over to Addy. Addy to Farrell. Back over to Addy. Addy going in for the three, missing it barely off the rim, almost bounces back in, now giving control back over to Emmanuel as they go in to try to score another 2 or 3.
Number 0 getting the rebound, handing it to number 1. Number 1 passing it to number 2. Number 2 driving it in hard, going in for the layup. Makes the layup with a fantastic shot.
Addy will be passing it back into Dunlop, pushing it up in middle again. Dunlop passing into Farrell, trying to get some space going here. Oh, beautiful shot pass in through Addy. Almost converts the layup, but does not get it. Giving it back over to Emmanuel.
Emmanuel getting the rebound. Number 1 passing it to number 0, back to number 1. Number 1 passing it to number 4. Number 4 trying to drive in, but great defense by SWU. Number 4 gets the layup.
Addy will be taking it back in through, giving it over to Dunlap. Looks like SWU will be calling a timeout, and coach also questioning the ref. We'll be going into a timeout. 2:31 left in the first period. 31-27, SWU leading.
Again, both sides showing great spirit, with each one fighting hard for the win.
Most definitely. We have also seen Emmanuel coming out now. Both of these teams are definitely starting to get warmed into the game and ready to fight a lot. Coming back in off the timeout with a potential free throw. Looks like it will be actually an out-of-bounds call, and Addy taking it back in for SWU on SWU's side.
Emmanuel coming back in.
Addy passing it into Dunlap. Dunlap pushing back into center. Team trying to create some space. Smith with a great block. Now giving it over to Cameron. Cameron to Bradford. Now back over to Dunlap. Dunlap pushing in for the layup. Getting a beautiful layup while also getting a foul. Now going in for a free throw. Looks like he will be getting one attempt. Dunlap definitely putting in some work here and getting the team to stay together. If you may have missed it, Dunlap also scored his 1,000th career point several games ago at home. Dunlap going in, missing the free throw, but SWU still in control, now giving it back over to Emmanuel.
Number 4 handing it over to number 1. Number 1 passing it back to number 4. Number 4 making it look like he's going for the 3, handing it over to number 2. Number 2 going in for the layup, handing it to number 10.
Great blocking by SWU. Back over to Smith, now going over to Addy. SWU trying to get something going here, giving it to Dunlap, trying to barely push it in. Getting ready, great screen by Smith, still in Dunlap's possession. Dunlap pushing it in, getting it back to Farrell, giving it over to Addy. Addy still with it here, giving it over to Farrell. It looks like a foul might be called against SWU. No foul call, but SWU will be giving up possession to Emmanuel on their own side.
Number 4 taking it in.
Definitely a good crowd here tonight for SWU, as we have the bleachers filled with barely any seats to see.
Number 4 passing it to number 1 for Emmanuel. Number 1 passing it back to 4. 4 trying to drive it in, passing it back to number 1. Number 1 trying to figure out how to drive it in. Drives it in a little bit further. And it looks like it will be SWU's ball.
After another decision for the ref, looks like Emmanuel will be able to take the ball in the attacking zone.
Number 1 getting the ball, passing it to number 4. Number 4 getting a very nice dunk, making the score now 33-29, SWU leading.
Dunlap coming back in through center court, trying to create some space here. Now over to Addy, over to Cameron. Cameron trying to push it in. Cameron keeping it in bounds, but giving it, sadly, will not be able to keep it in possession as the ref calls for Emmanuel's ball.
Looks like number 4 will be passing it in. Number 4 passing it to number 1. Number 1 slowly driving forward. Number 4 passing it to number 2. Number 2 passing it back to number 4. Passing it to number 1 to 21. Number 21 passing it to number 2. Number 2 driving it in, passing it to number 10. Trying to figure out a layup shot, passing it to SWU, steals it.
Now over back to Addy. Addy trying to create some space here. Actually popping it over to number 3, or over to Cameron. Trying to go for the 3 layup, will not be able to get it. Bradford getting a great recovery. Now over to Dunlap, still trying to go in. It looks like these shot clocks are actually not on. Doesn't matter, coming in. Number 3, Dunlap getting it with 1.2 seconds left, trying to go up for a long shot. But now the first period ended. SWU leading 35-29 here with a big fight coming in. We'll be going into the break to see if either of these teams, either SWU can keep up their lead or Emmanuel will try to come back. Beautiful last shot coming in by Tajay Dunlap out of Columbia, South Carolina. We will be right back after a brief intermission on SWU Sports Network. Welcome back. With SWU currently leading right now 35 to 29, Emmanuel is definitely going to try to pick things up in the second period, as on Monday, Emmanuel actually beat Southern Wesleyan 80 to 53. So definitely want to try and make that a 2-game win streak on SWU.
But SWU coming in hard with the leading score right now, 35-29. Trying to win back what they lost on Monday.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SWU Sports Network. As we left you off at the end of the first period, SWU is leading 35-29. Coming back from halftime, looks like SWU's own number 13, DeMarcus Addy, will be taking the ball back in for SWU. Addy over to Dunlap. Dunlap over to Farrell. Farrell back to Dunlap. Oh, trying to go in for a layup, but it looks like
Emmanuel trying to steal, but knocks it out of bounds, handing it over to SWU.
Cameron now putting it in to Farrell. Back to Addy. Addy trying to push up. Giving it back to Farrell now. Farrell trying to go in for a layup, losing control, giving it back over to Emmanuel. Emmanuel still having trouble getting the ball.
Number 1, passing it to number 55. Number 55, passing it back to number 0. Back to number 55. Number 55 trying to drive in, backing it up. Back to number 1. Number 1 trying to drive in, but gets blocked by SWU's defense. Passing it to number 55, passing it to number 11, but number 11 knocks it out of bounds, handing it over to SWU.
Addy will be taking it in for SWU, passing over to Dunlap. Now going to be slowly pushing in towards their attack zone. Now giving it over to Smith. Back to Dunlap. Farrell trying to get it in now. Farrell going in for a back layup, not being able to recover, giving it back over to Dunlap.
Number 0 getting a nice rebound, handing it over to number 4. Number 4 going in through SWU's defense, trying to get it in a layup, but passing it back to number 0. But passing it far too back. Refs calling the whistle, handing it over to SWU.
Addy coming back in now, passing it over to Dunlap. Trying to get in a position to attack. Dunlap now giving it over to Farrell. Farrell now giving it over to Cameron. Cameron to Addy. Addy trying to do something here, giving it over to Dunlap, pushing in. Can he beat the buzzer? No, it will unfortunately be a little bit too far over the rim. Now giving it over to Emmanuel in SWU's zone.
Number 4 passing it to number 55. 55 driving in hard. Driving in even harder, passing it back to number 4. Number 4 driving in hard, trying to get the layup, but missing it. Looks like there's a foul on the court. Number 4 going in with free throws. 2 free throws. Number 4, Brandon Simpson, going for the first free throw. Making the first free throw. 1 more free throw to go. Going in for the second free throw. Making it. Handing it over to SWU.
Emmanuel only now 4 points behind SWU. Dunlap passing in through center. Trying to create something, giving it over to Cameron. Now over to Reeves. Reeves trying to go in here. Reeves getting blocked by both sides. Now gives it over to Cameron, over to Dunlap. Dunlap going in for the 3. Bouncing off the back edge of the rim, giving it back over to Emmanuel.
Number 0 getting a great rebound, handing it over to number 55. Number 55 driving in very hard, but gets blocked by SWU's defense, going in for the layup, missing the layup, getting the rebound again, going in. SWU stealing the ball.
Now giving it over to Cameron. Cameron pushing in rapidly through center. Looks like it might be a stripping call. SWU being able to take it out in their own attacking zone. Addy taking it in. Now over to Dunlap. Dunlap trying to create something. Now giving it over to Smith. Smith over to Reeves. Reeves back to Smith, and Smith coming in and converting for the layup. 37-31 SWU.
Number 1 passing it back to number 55. Number 55 passing it over to number 11. Back to number 0. Number 0 driving it in, passing it back to number 4. Number 4 going for the 3. Misses the 3 barely. SWU's getting the rebound.
Now back over to Addy. Addy pushing it now into the attacking zone. Addy going for a fade 3, missing it, but Dunlap right there to get the rebound. Dunlap will not be able to secure the layup.
Looks like there will be a shooting foul and Dunlap getting free throws.
Dunlap has been able to make these multiple times this season. This should just add on to it.
With 2 free throws, Dunlap going in.
Has the potential to make this 39-31. Getting the first free throw, now making it 38-31. Get another shot to go up to 39. Gracefully makes the free throw, now 39-31 with 16:59 left, over to Emmanuel.
Number 4 handing it over to number 1. Number 1 slowly driving forward. Driving in hard, passing it to number 2, passing it over back to number 11, passing it to number 1. Number 1 driving in hard, trying to get through SWU's defense. Going in for the layup, making a fantastic layup by number 1.
Addy taking it back in, giving it over to Dunlap. Dunlap coming in into the attacking zone, trying to make something happen here. Passing it over now to Reeves. Now to Cameron.
Emmanuel stealing the ball with number 11, getting it, handing it over to number 4. Number 4 handing it over to number 2, over to number 0. Number 0 handing it to number 11, handing it over to number 1. Number 1 handing it back over to number 0. Number 0 driving in for a layup. Seems to be a foul on SWU on number 0. Number 0, Jay Rucker getting free throws with a shooting foul. Jay Rucker, number 0, getting 2 free throws. First 3 throws a miss.
With that miss, keeping the score the same at 39-33.
One more free throw to go. Number 0, Jay Rucker misses both free throws, and SWU getting the rebound.
Dunlap now pushing in. Going slow, trying to get an attack set up. A great screen by Smith. Still in Dunlap's possession. Dunlap pushing up now, going in, missing it, but Smith right there for the recovery to make it now 41-33.
Number 1 passing it to number 4, passing it back to number 1. Number 1 trying to drive in hard, passing it to number 0. Number 0 passing it to number 11 straight away, passing it back to 0. Number 0 passing it to number 4, but SWU steals it. Seems like there would be a foul.
Looks like a timeout will be called, and with 15:24 left to go in the second period, SWU will be leading 41-33. We'll be back in just a second on SWU Sports Network.
Emmanuel gets the ball, passing it to number 1. Number 1 driving in hard, passing it to number 2. Passing it back to number 1. Number 1 passing it to number 4. Back to number 2. Number 2 going for the 3. Barely missing the 3, but number 10 gets the rebound. Looks like there will be a foul on SWU. A shooting foul for number 10. Number 10, Kendall Latney, will get 2 free throws. Missing the first free throw. Going in for the second free throw. Missing both free throws, but SWU getting the ball.
Dunlap now pushing in. Dunlap still with it now. Passes it over to Addy, but will be getting a call, and now Addy will be taking it in through SWU's own zone. Addy now passing over to Dunlap. Dunlap trying to move the attack now, giving it over to Reeves. Reeves still with it, trying to create something. Here goes Dunlap. Dunlap almost starting to commit through the 3, trying to get around, trying to make something happen. And here goes Reeves converting up, now making it 43-33, a 10-point lead with 14:38 left to go.
Number 10 handing it over to number 1. Number 1 driving in hard, passing it to number 2. Number 2 driving in even harder, trying to go for the 2, missing the 2. Number 21 getting the rebound. Number 1 getting the 3. Number 1, KJ Jones Jr. handing it over to SWU.
Dunlap now giving it back over to Reeves. Reeves trying to push it in, giving it over. Now to Cameron, to Dunlap. Back to the side with Cameron, giving it a turnover into Emmanuel. Ref calling it, ball will now be in Emmanuel's possession.
Number 4 passing it in for Emmanuel. Number 4 passing it to number 1. Driving it in slowly. Passing it to number 2. Number 2 trying to drive it in. Passing it to number 21. Number 21 passing it back to number 1. Number 1 trying to go in for the layup. Makes a fantastic layup by number 1, KJ Jones Jr.
Now Addy giving it over to Dunlap. Dunlap trying to come in for the attack. Dunlap pushing in. Dunlap now giving it over to Reeves. Reeves to Cameron. Reeves for a fadeaway 3, does not able to convert it, giving back over to Emmanuel.
Emmanuel getting a foul. SWU getting a foul on Emmanuel by number 1. Looks like number 2 will be passing it in for Emmanuel. Number 2 passing it to number 1. Number 1 passing it to number 10. Number 10 driving in, passing it to number 21. Passing it back to number 1.
Travel call called on Emmanuel, now giving possession back over to SWU. Addy taking it out, will be passing it into Dunlap. Dunlap now pushing him from the right side. Trying to push in, now giving it over to Addy. Addy passing it now back to Cameron. Bradford over to Smith. Smith converting in for the layup.
SWU getting
Smith
a
now
shooting
getting
foul.
a foul for 2 points. Has the potential to make 43-45. Can he convert on the 2? Converts on the first one, now making it 44-38. Number 33, Jasper Gibson coming in for Emmanuel. Smith going in for the second layup, not be able to convert.
Number 1, KJ Jones Jr. getting the rebound for Emmanuel. Pushing in. Driving in hard. Going for a 3, but missing it barely, hitting the rim first.
Giving it back over to SWU. Cameron to Dunlap, pushing it past center.
Looks like it will be a foul on Emmanuel, handing it over to SWU. Dunlap passing it in.
Dunlap passing it into Smith. Smith trying to get something going, passing it over to Cameron. Cameron looking for an opening, cannot find one. Cameron trying to push it in, stepping back, releasing the ball over to Emmanuel, but Emmanuel not being able to hold control and making it go out of bounds. Still in SWU's possession. Cameron now passing it in for SWU. Cameron looking for an opening. Gets it far back to Smith. Smith over to Dunlap. Dunlap trying to put in with this 3. Hits the 3 with just 3 seconds on the shot clock, making it 47-38 SWU.
Number 33 passing it to number 2 for Emmanuel. Number 2 driving in, passing it to number 33. Number 33 passing it to number 11. Over to number 1. Number 12.
SWU losing in control. Bradford coming up now with SWU. Oh, gets a nice fadeaway too, but not able to get the point. Giving it back over to Emmanuel.
KJ Jones Jr., number 1, passing it over to number 21 with a layup, but missing it. Number 1 getting a nice rebound, handing it over to number 33. Number 33 going in for the 3, getting it. Very nice. Jasper Gibson making a very nice 3, handing it over to SWU.
Dunlap over to Cameron, back to Dunlap, pushing it in through center. Trying to look for an opening here, passes it over to Smith. Smith looking for an opening, gets Dunlap in the opening. Dunlap trying to create something here. Looks for a pass on Bradford, but doesn't get it. Gives it over to Smith. Now Bradford. Number 5, Julian Cameron with a beautiful 3. Making it now 50-41 with 10:59 left in the second period.
SWU leading.
Looks like Emmanuel has called a timeout. With both teams having an equal amount of foul points now.
SWU is really putting in hard work to pay off for what they missed on Monday, losing to Emmanuel. Coming back strong with a 9-point lead.
Very much so, and 9 points will be definitely not a hard task for Emmanuel to come back with. They is currently number 2 ranked in the Conference Carolinas men's division. But that is 9 points that you have to somehow get on SWU's impeccable defense right now.
SWU's defense is very well tonight. Emmanuel's defense is good as well.
After the halftime, both teams were definitely getting into their groove, but now both teams are looking sharp and definitely trying to get their side to the winning. Again, even a bigger crowd after the second half has arrived. Coming back in after the timeout.
Looks like Emmanuel will get the ball. Number 33, Jasper Gibson, handing it over to number 1, it looks like. Number 1 driving in. Passing it over to number 33, passing it to number 11. 11 to 21. 21 to 1, with number 1 getting a very nice dunk, KJ Jones Jr., passing it over to SWU.
Bradford pushing it down now. Bradford getting a slide, but able to recover. Now over to Farrell. Over to Dunlap, back to Farrell. Now with Bradford, now going back. Cameron trying to push it in, now giving it to Farrell.
Looks like Emmanuel will take control of the ball. Number 1 passing it to number 11. Number 11 passing it to 33. 33 trying to drive in, passing it back to 11 and back to 33. 33 passing it to number 55. 55 over to number 1. Number 1 driving in hard, almost losing control, but number 55 picking up the recovery. 55 going in, makes the perfect shot, making it now 50-45 SWU lead.
With Emmanuel now only needing 5 points to get tied up with SWU. It looks like there will be a timeout called by Emmanuel with only 9:53 left to go in the second period. Definitely see both of these teams trying to make an effort, and especially Emmanuel trying to get back on top here, being more consistent with their shots, but also SWU firing right back.
Emmanuel's offense this period is looking to be very, very on point, with a very nice dunk by KJ Jones Jr., number 1 for Emmanuel.
While Emmanuel's offense is also looking great, SWU's defense is also looking very well. Both teams really at this point in the game are firing back no matter what they have put at them, both defense and offense wise. But SWU still holding a 5-point lead here.
It's still anybody's game though. Emmanuel could get the lead, but SWU's defense is holding up strong.
As we mentioned earlier, with Emmanuel only needing a 5-point lead, that could be the matter of 2, a 3, and a 2, or a layup. But it doesn't matter the combination, as long as you get the points, you get the points. Now coming back in, looks like it is going to be SWU's ball. Number 12, Davion Bradford taking it in for SWU. We'll be passing it over to 13, DeMarcus Addy. Addy taking it down now, making sure that his team is ready. In the attacking zone, passing it over to Reeves, to Farrell. Back over to Cameron. Cameron going in with a 3, but barely grazing the rim to miss the shot. Now giving it back over to Emmanuel.
Number 4 getting the rebound, driving in hard, trying to go in. Almost in, trying to go for the layup, but missing it. Number 33, Jasper Gibson, making a very nice 3 for Emmanuel. Now putting the score to 48-50 SWU lead.
Not only a 2-point game for Emmanuel, but SWU comes back up on the attack with Bradford in control. Bradford trying to drive it in, giving it back to Farrell, but unfortunately turning over the ball to Emmanuel.
Number 33, Jasper stealing the ball, handing it over to number 11. Number 4 trying to go for the 3, but Emmanuel getting the recovery. Looks like there was a foul for Emmanuel, handing it over to SWU.
Ref calling a traveling foul on Emmanuel, now giving it back over to SWU. Dunlop in possession. Dunlap trying to make something happen here, has 2 defenders on him. Still manages to get out of the situation, pushing forward, going in. Oh, Cameron coming in with a beautiful layup on the left side, giving it back over to Emmanuel.
Number
making
11.
score 52-48.
Number 11 passing it over to number 4, passing it back to number 55. 55 making sure his teammates are ready. Driving it in, passing it to number 33. 33 holding strong, passing it to number 4. Number 4 telling his teammates to get into position, passing it to number 21. Number 21 passing it to 11, going for the fake out. And number 11 trying to go for the 3. Emmanuel getting the rebound. Number 55 also going for the 3, making it. Number 55, Ty Stuckey, making a very nice 3-point shot.
Back in Dunlap's possession, only a 1-point game now between SWU and Emmanuel, 52-51. Dunlap trying to make something happen here. Dunlap almost slipping, but keeping his balance. Reeves trying to set up a screen, giving it over to Reeves. Trying to make something happen here with just 10 seconds on the shot clock. Giving it over to Farrell, trying to get it over into Tajay. Tajay getting a foul from Emmanuel. Looks like it's 7:49 in the second period, 52-51. Emmanuel only needs 1 point to be tied into this game. SWU calling a timeout. We'll be right back with you on the SWU Sports Network. Welcome back in as number 3, Tajay Dunlap, will be coming in for a free throw. Going up for one, making it 53-51 lead. Now a 2-point behind for Emmanuel. Going up for another one. Can he convert? Makes it in, now making it 54-51. Back over in Emmanuel's possession.
Number 4 handing it over to number 55. 55 driving it in slowly, passing it back to number 4. Number 4 faking out into 3. Number 55 trying to drive in, but number 1 handing it over to number 33, back over to number 1. Number 4 passing it to number 0. Number 0 trying to push in for a layup. Missing the first time, but making a perfect layup for the second time. Handing it back over to SWU.
Back over to Dunlap now, pushing it in. Farrell giving a nice screen, going into Cameron. Cameron trying to make something happen here, gives it back over to Dunlap. Dunlap trying to make something happen here. Farrell setting him up for the screen, not able to do anything. Giving it back over to Addy. Addy over to Reeves. Reeves over to Addy. 5 seconds left. What do they do here? Ball gets stripped. Now back over to Emmanuel.
55 stealing the ball, handing it over to number 1 with number 35 blocking it. And number 4, Brandon Simpson making an amazing layup for Emmanuel, making the score now 55-54. Emmanuel lead.
Even after Farrell's incredible block, the ref still calls a foul, and now giving a layup, a free throw to Emmanuel.
Number 4, Brandon Simpson getting a free throw, a shooting foul. One shot, that's all he gets.
Can they expand the lead by 2 points?
Number 4, Brandon Simpson making the one and only free throw shot that he gets, handing it over to SWU.
Cameron now passing it to Dunlap. Dunlap going down the court. Now giving it over to Reeves. Reeves to Cameron. Cameron trying to drive it in, not being able to. And it's still for Emmanuel.
Number 4 stealing the ball from SWU, handing it over to number 55. Number 55 trying to drive in. Driving it in hard. Passing it over to number 33, Jasper Gibson trying to make the 3, but missing it, handing it over to SWU.
Recovered by Reeves. Emmanuel hitting it out of bounds. Addy will be taking the ball back in now for SWU. Addy passing it into Dunlap. Dunlap pushing up through center. Dunlap trying to look for an opening here, waiting for it. Now passes it over to Smith. Smith to Addy. Addy in a caught here. Now getting over to Dunlap. Dunlap going in for the three, making the three. Now putting SWU back in the lead by 1 point, 56-57.
55, trying to drive in hard, passing it to number 4. Number 4 passing it to 0, back to 55. Number 55 trying to get his teammate, handing it over to 33. 33 over to number 1. Number 1 hands it over to 55, trying to make the 3, but doesn't. Goes for the 3. Number 55 goes for the 3. Number 55, Ty Stuckey, makes a perfect 3 shot, handing over to SWU.
Back over to Dunlap here in the attacking zone, trying to make something happen as these teams are literally neck and neck for a score right now. Dunlap caught up in a hard position, passes it over to Smith. Smith over to Addy, trying to get it over. Still in SWU's possession after Emmanuel knocks it out of bounds. With only 5 minutes and 23 seconds left in the second period, SWU is down by 2, 59-57. Trying to make something happen here. Bradford in control, now giving it over to Dunlap. Dunlap trying to make something happen, pushing it in. Dunlap going in for the 2. Making in the 2 while also getting fouled. Dunlap will be assisted for the 2 by Davion Bradford. Dunlap having a chance for 2 points to tie this game up, 59-59. Goes in for the first 3 throw. Makes it in, now putting it 59-58 with SWU only behind by 1 point. Emmanuel getting a sub in.
Number 2 replaces number 33, Jasper Gibson, with Isaiah Foster.
Dunlap going in for the second free throw. Makes it in with ease, 59-59. The crowd is in this right now. Back over to Emmanuel.
Number 4 handing it over to number 55. Number 55 driving in very slowly. Going in, driving hard, trying to make a layup. Handing it over to number 2. Number 2 goes in. Handing it over to number 0. Number 0 handing it over to number 55. Number 1 trying to drive in hard to make the layup. Goes in, and number 1, KJ Jones, the junior, making an amazing layup, handing over to SWU.
SWU now back in the attacking zone. Dunlap over to Reeves. Reeves over to Bradford. Bradford back to Reeves. Addy now with it. Dunlap saving it, but Emmanuel comes back with it.
Number 55 getting the ball. And number 1, KJ Jones Jr. knocking it out of bounds, giving the ball back to SWU.
Number 12, Davion Bradford will now be taking it out for SWU. 59-61 with 4:20 left to go in the second period.
Still anyone's game.
Looks like Emmanuel's coach is talking to the ref. SWU now passing it in, giving it to Dunlap, trying to go in and make something happen here. Dunlap still in possession here, trying to find an opening for his team. Passing it over to Reeves. Reeves now over to Bradford. Bradford trying to go in for the layup. Looks like he'll be getting a reaching foul. Looks like SWU's own number 12, Davion Bradford, will now be getting a chance to potentially tie up the game here if he can make both free throws. Going in for the first free throw. Missing it off of the back rim. Now making it, SWU can only go up to 61, still leaving them behind by 1. Bradford going in for the second shot. makes the second shot. 61-60. 4:01 left. Now over to Emmanuel.
Number 4 handing it over to number 55. 55 driving in very slowly. Handing it over to number 1. Passing it back to number 0. Handing it over to number 2. Number 2 not knowing what to do. Hands it to 55. 55 back to 2. Number 2 trying to drive it in for a layup, but missing it. Getting it back with the recovery. Passing it back to number 4. Number 4 going in for a 3. Missing the 3. SWU getting the rebound.
Now turning it back over here. Almost trying to go in for the dunk is Reeves, but will only be getting a 2-pointer, which will now be putting SWU back in the lead. 62-61 with 3:26. SWU calls a timeout. You're watching SWU versus Emmanuel basketball on the Conference Carolinas Network. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the SWU Sports Network. Emmanuel having the ball.
Looks like number 4 will be passing it over to number 55. Number 55, Ty Stuckey, driving it in very slowly. Picking up pace, handing it over to number 0. Number 0 passing it to number 11. Number 11 looking for an open man, decides to dribble it on his own. Passing it to number 4. Number 4 passing it to number 55. 55 passing it over to number 1. Number 1 trying to drive it in, but gets blocked by SWU's defense. Still trying to pass it in. SWU knocks it out of the hands. What a block by number 0 on SWU's team. KJ Dunlap. With SWU knocking it out of bounds, it looks like Emmanuel will be calling a timeout.
62-61, a 1-point game for Emmanuel to tie this up. 2:56 left in the second period. Both teams still fighting strong in action as this game is slowly coming into a close and seeing which team will come out victorious. Emmanuel coming out 2-0 versus SWU, or 1-1. SWU to Emmanuel. We'll be right back on the SWU Sports Network.
The ball being handed over to Emmanuel, number 55, trying to see who's open. Handing it over to number 11. The number 11 going for the 3. Making the 3, number 11. Michael Wright making an amazing shot for a 3-point. Handing it over to SWU.
Barely beating the buzzer. Now coming over into Dunlap into attacking zone. Passing it over to Reeves. Reeves to Bradford. Terrell. Now over. Addy trying to go in for a 3, but missing it. Burrow right there for the rebound. Dunlap trying to go up. Trying to stay in the zone here. Game is slowly starting to get very heated as the time comes down here. Dunlap getting a possibility of 2 free throws here.
The score is now 62-64. Emmanuel lead.
It looks like the ref has signaled for 2 free throws for Dunlap. If he converts these, it'll be tied 64-64. Gets the first one, now 63-64. SWU only down by 1 point. Now going up for the second free throw. Potential to tie the game here. Makes the second free throw, now tied 64-64, 2:27. Back over to Emmanuel on possession.
Number 4 handing it over to number 55. Number 55 slowly driving in, handing it over to number 0. Number 0 handing it over to number 11. Number 11 handing it over to number 1. Number 1 trying to drive in, slips, but remains in control of the ball. Handing over to number 55, handing it back to number 1. Trying to go in for the layup, making an amazing layup by number 1. KJ Jones Jr. handing over back to SWU.
Addie to Dunlap. Dunlap taking it back into the attacking zone, trying to tie this game up or take a 1-point lead here. Farrell sitting in. Dunlap swishing a 3. Now 67-66. A minute 47 left. Another timeout called by SWU. With 1:47, 67-66, this is still anyone's game, with the crowd starting to get hyped.
SWU pulling off great feats tonight with amazing shot by Tajay Dunlap, making an amazing 3.
As we mentioned earlier, this previous Monday, Emmanuel beat SWU 80-53, so now SWU trying to take back what is theirs. With this game literally being 1 point away, we will see in less than 2 minutes who will become victorious.
The ball being handed over to Emmanuel, number 4. Brandon Simpson passing it in to number 1, KJ Jones Jr. Number 1 in possession of the ball. Driving it in, passing it to number 11. Number 11 passing it back to number 4, passing it to number 0. Back to number 4, to number 55. 55 driving it in, passing it over to number 11. Back to 55. Number 1. SWU stealing the ball.
SWU turning it over to Reeves now, back over to Dunlap. Dunlap trying to create something here. Slowly pushing in through mid. Farrell creating a screen for Dunlap. Not going to do anything, though, as they're still on him. Going in. Farrell coming in with the layup. Now making it 69-66 with 1:04 to go. Emmanuel back in possession.
Number 55 handing it over to number 4. Number 4 trying to drive it in. Handing over to number 1, KJ Jones Jr. making it a fantastic layup.
69-68 with literally less than a minute. 58.3 seconds here on the clock. What a close game.
Looks like there will be a shooting foul for KJ Jones Jr. Making the layup, also getting a possibility of 2 free throws.
Ref signaling that there is a wet spot on the court, making sure to get that cleaned up so that players do not get injured. Coming back off.
Number 11 switching out with number 2.
Foul will be taken by number 1, KJ Jones Jr.
Looks like there will only be 1 free throw for KJ Jones Jr., number 1. See if he can tie up the game. And he ties up the game with a very, very majestic swish, handing over to SWU.
Dunlap now coming down, pushing down mid-court, trying to find an opening. Farrell opening up, giving it to number 13, Addy. Addy going in for the 3, converts the 3! Now a 72-69 with 43 seconds left, over to Emmanuel's possession.
Number 1 passing it to 55. 55 passing it back to number 1. Almost losing control. Number 55 handing it over to number 4. Number 4 trying to drive it in, but hands it back to number 1. Number 1, KJ Jones Jr. with a spectacular 3-point shot, handing it to SWU.
Now back over into SWU's possession. 25 seconds left to go. Tie 72-72. Dunlap is going to try to go slow and run out time to give them one last chance. With the shot clock not working because of the time, this could be SWU's chance on winning the game. Starting to push in now, going on with the heavy push. Just needs 1 point. Goes in for the three. Gets the three. With 1.5 seconds, it is 75-72. That is game.
KJ Dunlap with the three-point shot, getting SWU the win, 75-72.
SWU's crowd going wild as they beat Emmanuel 75-72, beating them from Monday's game. What a game for SWU with a beautiful play by Dunlap.
It does not look like the game is over just yet. It looks like they're just on a timeout with 1.5 seconds left in the game. I really don't know what Emmanuel can do, but they can try to do anything. They can try to go for a three.
Well, I will say this, if they somehow magically tied this game up with 1.5 seconds left by a three, I will be highly impressed. Both teams trying to figure out a strategy to either keep the game on or to end the game out completely. That last score was by no other than number 0 for SWU, Tajay Dunlap.
Looks like timeout is being called over. SWU coming back onto the court. Emmanuel still in. Emmanuel's time has run out.
It looks like we'll be having an extended timeout. We'll be right back after a brief break. You're watching SWU Sports Network.
Tajay Dunlap with number 4 passing it in.
Emmanuel only having 1.5 seconds to do something. Can SWU hold on to their 3-point lead and close out this game?
Number 4 trying to pass it in.
SWU takes control. That is game. SWU winning 75-72 at a home game.
Taking back what they lost on Monday, beating Emmanuel with a 3-point lead of 75-72. What a great game for SWU.
Definitely congratulations to Emmanuel, putting up a very hard fight here. Coming back on every point, tying up the game, going down by 1 or 2, but definitely keeping up their strengths and not letting down on SWU during the second half. Good job to both teams.
SWU winning a very important game as they are still number 3 in the conference, but having a very good chance of becoming number 2 now. And that is the game, with SWU winning 75-72.
With the conference now 13th, Southern Wesleyan University was 13-6, 15-8 overall. Emmanuel was 16-3, 17-6. This will now be putting SWU at 14-6, 16-8. Emmanuel at 16-4, 17-7. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time on SWU Sports Network. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.